Hey, my friends, welcome back to the Composed Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Gaffney, and today I'm very excited to introduce to you one of my dearest friends in the whole world, Casey Langteau Johnson. We have been friends for the past 8 years now. We became friends online through Instagram as kind of two local artists doing our thing, and then we met up in person and have been really, really tight friends ever since. We run different types of businesses. She runs a gallery and sells original collections of her own work and has a different painting style than I do. And of course, I'm a live wedding painter and a portrait artist, and I have a podcast and an online course. And yet, there's so many parallels in our life, and I'm so grateful to have a friend like her in my life to bounce ideas off of, to go to when I have a conflict or an issue in my business. She's a wonderful source of inspiration and wisdom. She's just a gem of a friend to me. And she has a lot of really good advice for artists who are trying to pave their way to creating a business selling original work, maybe selling work in a gallery, or maybe even opening their own gallery one day. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce you, my friend Casey Langteau. Welcome to The Composed Artist, the podcast where we explore the intersection of artistry, entrepreneurship, and self-improvement and continue to pursue a more composed life. I'm your host, Stephanie, an artist specializing in live wedding painting, living in the vibrant and soulful city of New Orleans. Over the past decade, my job has taken me all over the world, meeting and creating art in front of thousands of people, and has allowed me to create a colorful life for myself and my family. Now, I help other artists build confidence, develop their techniques, and fall in love with the art of live wedding painting. I invite you to join us for inspiring stories of creative journeys, practical tips for running a successful art business, and honest conversations about the joys and challenges of running a studio and being a parent. This podcast is here to keep you company, keep you entertained, and is full of resources to help you on your journey to create a business that feeds your soul, makes an impact, and is insanely profitable. The Composed Artist is the podcast for the bold, creative, passionate, and genuine artist. Let's get started. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me here on the podcast. We get to hang out in person a lot because we're best friends, but this is going to be fun today. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephanie. I'm so excited to chat with you. And I want to take a moment to just thank you for creating this podcast because I love listening to you every week. But I know other artists really find it beneficial. So you're amazing for putting all this time into it.
You're an extra good friend because not only do you listen to me ramble on like voice messages, but you choose to listen to me ramble on and on.
Whenever I'm like, oh, I miss Stephanie, I just put you on. It's just so easy.
Oh my gosh.
I get my Stephanie fix.
That's so sweet. Thank you. Thank you for telling me. That's awesome. Well, I was really excited. I've been wanting to have you on the podcast for months because we just kind of have a really good conversation flow, and you're so easy to talk to, and you're so talented, and you're so smart. Every time we get together, I feel like I can present maybe an idea that I have or a problem that I'm having with how I'm handling a project or something like that. And you come in from a different perspective and are like, oh, well, have you thought about doing it like this? And we run such different businesses, very different businesses, but we both have so many parallels in our life, being moms and being wives and women in business and in the arts. And, so it's just been a really, really wonderful relationship. And I'm grateful for you. So thank you. But
it's
I wanted
very
to,
mutual.
yeah. Oh, well, thanks. I wanted to have you on because I want to hear your story. I want you to share your story with my listeners. I'm a live wedding painter, so we've got a lot of live wedding painters, portrait artists, commission artists that listen. But you own a gallery, and you actually own a building and own a gallery and have a big team of employees. And that's a different type of business to run. So first, I'd love to invite you to share your story as an artist and how you went from, graduating college to owning a business like the one you own.
Yeah.
And just take us on that journey.
Okay. Yeah, will do. So I'll start you at the very beginning. Um, Painted throughout my life, went to college, majored in graphic design, and a lot of my painting teachers were, encouraging me to spend more time painting. And so I ended up switching my major to painting, but my trajectory was always to take over my mom's photography studio. So I've always been very involved in the creative arts. And luckily my parents were supportive of that, obviously, because my mom made a business in it. So after graduating college in painting and drawing, I started working with her full time. And while I loved that, realm, photographing, it wasn't my passion. And so I found myself a lot, getting home from work and working another like 7 hours just painting
Yeah.
because I loved it so much. So like basically in all of my free time, any of downtime I had, I was just, doing some mini paintings, just, experimenting, not so much working on any projects for collectors, but just doing it for fun. And with that, I opened an Etsy shop just to kind of make some side money. I was really wanting to travel at the time. So it was kind of like my spending money. And, that also kind of like boosts me to like keep doing it and working hard at it and like really putting in the time. So at the very beginning, I was just on Etsy. I was just doing like mini, I've specialized in coastal artwork. So like a lot of oyster paintings. I've
Mm-hmm.
done probably 300 oyster, like giant oyster originals in my life. And I love that season, but I started to want to experiment and like go like try different fields, try different subject matters. And I do think it was important for me to kind of niche down at the beginning because I found I became an expert in that one thing, right? And from there, it gave me the credibility and like the confidence to kind of try different avenues. So the second year, I ended up taking off some time from my full time job to invest in my artwork, and that's when I, opened up a Instagram page for my art. Um, I started doing like more New Orleans style artwork, more than just oysters. And so, like year 2 and 3, I really focused on making like solid roots in our community.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I put a lot of my artwork in boutiques. And I finally like opened up a website, had an email list, all those little
Yeah.
things. And yeah, it really took advantage of like the 2 days a week that I had towards painting and like worked like so hard to kind of get it off the ground. And that was really beneficial, especially like the time I had in boutiques. And like, I think I had like 1 or 2 art shows here and there. Those were really beneficial because I got to see and hear like what people were looking for and what they like what their homes needed, what they enjoyed, what resonated with people. And so I was able to like lean into that artwork more versus in like the artwork that wasn't so much resonating with people.
Hey, live wedding painters. Have you taken a minute to evaluate your business yet? Have you started to think about next year yet? As this year comes to a close, it's important for each of us to take a moment and reflect. Did you hit the goals you set for yourself? Did you set goals at the beginning of the year at all? Was there any clarity in your vision for your creative business, or have you just been hanging on for the ride? Now, imagine starting next year with a clear plan, a year where you're building a stellar portfolio and booking dream weddings, showing up with confidence, and taking bold steps toward your career goals. That's exactly what my goal setting workbook is here to help you achieve. Created for the members of my online course, The Wedding Painter's Blueprint, the Goal Setting Workbook is more than just a place to jot down ideas. It is your roadmap to success for the year ahead. With guided evaluations, you'll identify your unique personal and professional challenges. You'll address physical and psychological elements that might be holding you back. And you will set clear, achievable goals and map out the steps to reach them so you can turn your vision into reality. This workbook is free to download and print so you can physically write down your goals. It includes tools to help you track your growth and adjust as needed, and will actually help you take vague dreams and turn them into concrete plans and turn those plans into real success. Next year doesn't have to feel uncertain. The goal setting workbook will help you take charge of your career and step into the new year with purpose and direction. Click the link in the show notes to download your free version of my goal setting workbook and kick 2025 off with clarity. Is year two like 2014? About what? How long has it been?
So I graduated in 2015
Okay.
from college. And so it's been 10 years since then. First 3 years were really like very part-time. And then starting year 4, I became a full-time artist. I told my mom, that I wanted to just try this out, see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And, she of course was upset because she wanted me to take over the photography
Yeah.
business, but she gave me the time I needed to pursue this passion. And so that year I really wanted to like give it all I got, because this is like, I felt like my chance.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have kids yet. My husband and I were married. So this was 2019. This is right before COVID. So,
Mm-hmm.
so I was like giving it all I got. I invested in a printer for my business, which was like so scary at the time because I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know how to work this like $3,000 printer. And it was just, I remember the first night I had it running, it was like a terrifying moment, but also so rewarding because like you get to see like your artwork being printed in front of your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like so, so amazing. But yeah,
What kind did
a
you
lot of
get?
scary. I got a Canon
Mm-hmm.
2000 back then,
Okay.
and so
That's a big
it's,
one. I mean, it's a fine art printer.
yeah,
That's a
yes, yeah.
huge investment.
It was very scary. And I mean, like, not only the investment in the printer, but like the investment in, like, I didn't have a salary anymore. Like, I'm relying on what I literally create. Like, I need to sell it. I need to create, like, sustain this career, or else
Mm-hmm.
I would have to go back to being a photographer. So, yeah, I spent that year and I was like, okay, at the end of this year, I really want to have a show, like an in-person show where it's like me coming out as a full-time artist. And so I rented out a space for just 2 weeks where basically I'd be open for one night only, um, like a week to get ready for it, basically a week for the event. I mean, a day for the event, and then the rest of the time to kind of take it down. And I did this event on the same night as a popular art walk in New Orleans. It's called Art for Art's Sake. And so there's a lot of people that, visit the shops along Magazine Street. So I rented a place on Magazine Street for this event. And I probably painted like 45 pieces, like all year long. I've been working on it. And, this investment of renting this space out was like astronomical to me at the time. And it still is. I was like, this is scary. Like, if I don't sell like half of these paintings, like we're kind of in the hole. I mean, of course, I knew that even if we didn't sell half, it was a good investment in a way, because it was kind of like, it was almost like an advertisement, like an
Mm-hmm.
advertising budget to like get out there and meet new people and all of that. So anyway, the show rolls around. The walls are packed the entire time. It was the most incredible, like life, like altering experience. And I mean, I got to meet so many people, which I never really got to do before in my career. You're working
Mm-hmm.
on your own and on Instagram all day. And so it was really wonderful meeting people. Um, all the paintings sold. And then I was like, wow, I love this. This was where my passion lied. Like, this is exactly where everything aligned. And I talked to the people that had rented me the space, and I was like, would you be open to renting it to me for 2 more months? And this was during Christmas time. I'm like, this is perfect. And then I'll just leave once, January hits, pack up and move out. And so we were open for 2 months. It was like, so it was scary because I have this like giant rent check to pay, and no paintings on the wall. So I was like, what do I do? I need to get all these all this artwork back on the wall. And so 2 weeks I gave myself 2 weeks to create a whole new collection. And on top of that, I also was like, okay, so I'll probably have time to create I don't know. I think I like killed myself and like did 8
Mhm.
paintings or something
Mhm.
within 2 weeks. And then I was like, okay, I have all these other walls to fill. And so that's when I really leaned into like the canvas prints and the reworked canvas prints. So reworked
What is a
canvas prints,
what is a
yeah.
rework?
It's an artist and embellished canvas. I just call it a rework, but I just take it and I add a ton of texture, new paint strokes, colored paint strokes to the piece to make it look like the original. But it's at the fraction of the cost, and people will know what they're getting. They can see it on the wall, versus like a commission, And so build the space up again, hired an employee, and I was still working there a lot, but I gave, that's when I really started like my team. It was like I gave that trust to someone else, and I took a step back so I could continue painting and filling that space up, because there's no way I could have done both, manage the gallery and everything that comes with it, and paint. I tried
Mhm.
it, didn't go well. It's just impossible. People come in and you have all this beautiful wet paint ready to go, and it dries up by the time they leave. Yeah, those 2 months went by. It was phenomenal, like insane, like the response and the support we got. So I ended up running it out for another year. And then that year turned into like 4 years at that space. And then recently, and like, of course, throughout that time, building my team. We did a ton of fundraisers throughout the community. We really became like integrated with Magazine Street.
Mhm.
And this past year, we bought a space on Magazine Street that's going to be like our forever home gallery. And yeah, it's been a crazy whirlwind, but
That
that's, I
is.
guess, 9 years later, this is where we're at. So
That's insane. I know it kind of flies by, like, a lot
yeah,
happens, and it's really wonderful to hear that you worked out of your home, selling online, like, building, a portfolio, building a style, developing a technique for 4 years before you even had your first open house, before you even had
yeah,
your first, like, pop-up, essentially.
yeah. I mean,
And
I
then
was,
you operated out of that little gallery for 4 years before taking
yes.
another big step towards, like, owning your own space. A lot
Yes,
of
and I'm
patience.
glad you phrased it that way. It was
Mhm.
never like a giant leap. It was always small steps to get to where I am. Or at least that's, at the time, that's what it felt like. Like I slowly started taking off days from my job. I slowly got I would have, at first, the place that I rented from was asking for a 3-year contract.
Mhm.
I don't think I could have ever taken that leap and committed myself. I didn't have the confidence. I didn't think my artwork was good enough, you
Mhm.
know. And so just asking like, hey, can I just, this property has been sitting here for like 6 months, not rented, and
Mhm.
I'm sure they would be open to it. So I just asked, and sure enough, they were like, yes. There was a bunch of clauses. There was a lot of
Yeah.
things I had to jump through,
Yeah.
but I'm glad I asked. And yeah, and then of course 4 years there, where like we didn't have any storage. It was a challenge being there, and we wanted to leave, but we were like, okay, we need to make sure we get through these tough points. I mean, I opened up the gallery and we got hit by COVID, where we were closed
Mhm.
for 3 months, and then the next year we Hurricane Ida hit, and so I was closed for a month or two. And it was just challenge after challenge. And like once we got through those challenges, I was like, I thought like if we could get through this, we can get through a lot of things. And so let's just invest in our own property to where we're not throwing money away every month.
Yep.
And also I can make it my own. There's so
Mhm.
many, you know, benefits of having like owning the space. And it's been really wonderful.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, you're so wise. I can tell that you're so smart because you owning a building, especially in a location like Magazine Street, um, very high property value. Like the insurance rate is very high, the property tax rate is very high. I know, I looked into it. It's insane. And you not only grew your team, you just continue to grow. You continue to deepen your roots in the community. You continue to like plant yourself like a flag. Like I feel confident enough to where it's not kind of up in the air whether, my work will sell. Like
Hmm.
you gained confidence in that way and in your collector base, because you have a very loyal collector base, and your clients love your work, and your work, you've gotten little opportunities for kind of exposure, like you've done the
Yeah.
posters for very popular events in New
Yes.
Orleans. And so
Insane.
you're becoming more of a household name in this city, which is so great for me to see. It's so exciting. I'm so proud of you. So
That's
I
so
just want to
crazy.
let you know I'm very proud of you for and let everyone listening know that if you see an artist who owns a gallery, know that they just didn't get a loan from their rich parents and buy a gallery with no, there's a good chance that they have built a career based on trial and error and losses and, this big old fluctuating economy situation.
Yeah.
And so that has been a part of your story. And I'd love to hear about your experience with running a team. You've mentioned team members a lot. But
Yes.
before I do, could you please describe your painting style? Not only what your style is, but how it's developed from the early days,
Yeah.
because it has developed.
Yes.
Oh, and it's so good. I love your work. I have an original of yours in my home and many prints. Like,
You're
we buy
so
each other's art
supportive.
all the time.
Yes. You're the
Um,
best. I
yeah,
love
but
you.
it's a beautiful style of painting, and it's
Thank
New
you.
Orleans. It's got the texture of New Orleans, and then obviously
Hmm.
the subject matter, but it's unique in a way that it's very soft and serene and neutral, as
Yeah.
opposed to oversaturated and colorful and, the full spectrum of color, like the popular art and artists here in the
Yes.
city. So describe your painting style.
Well, you just did it so well. But basically, I use exclusively a palette knife or palette knives to create my artwork. There's no brush work, and so there's lots of thick texture. I typically work with acrylic paint and mix it with heavy gel mediums, like golden heavy gel mediums, and create this thick, juicy, just like scrumptious paint. It almost looks like icing, and I wanted to mimic oil painting. I really love oils, but they take so long to dry when you're like, you know, putting on thick, thick layers. And I don't have the patience for that. One day I will. I'm going to try it out one day. But basically, yeah. So I use those, and I create like an impasto style, almost abstract. I really focus on colors and forms, not so much on detail. Um, Although I do add in a lot of detail, considering it's just like knives. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then I do so with like a very muted, neutral pastel. A lot of people call my work like pastel palette. And I really enjoy this because, like you were saying, it creates a sense of joy, tranquility, but it's also unique for the subject matter. Typically, New Orleans, you see our city portrayed very vibrantly and bold, and just like, I mean, and it is a very vibrant, beautiful city that expresses, like, like you see a lot of color in it. But I want to focus kind of on the everyday, serene side that like us locals see.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I love personally light colored artwork, and so that's throughout the years I've kind of like gotten more into that. At the very beginning of my career, I was actually using a lot of color.
Mm-hmm.
I avoided white. Although I've always worked with texture. That was like kind of always been my passion, is like tons of texture. But yeah, over the years, I've learned to not so much create things that I see like other artists doing, like colorful artwork and like things like that, but what
Mm-hmm.
I want to put in my own home.
Mm-hmm.
And that has helped me a lot. Like, just come up with subject matter to create. It's like, okay, what would I want to put above my fireplace? Okay, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like painting this today. This would look good above my fireplace. Maybe it'll look good above someone else's fireplace.
Yeah. And you've done that very consistently and in a beautiful way throughout your career, and also through the seasons. And so we just had Mardi Gras season come through. Mardi Gras is very purple, green, and gold, very, very bright and colorful, very vibrant. And the city is just an explosion of color. But you've created a few pieces in your career where it's very purple, green, and gold, but it is much more muted. It's much more, I don't want to say sophisticated, but
Yeah.
palatable. The color, like if you're going to hang art in your home and you want it to be seasonal,
Yeah.
but still kind of match that kind of coastal vibe of your home, like that, you've been very considerate of that. Christmas, you've
Thank
painted
you.
the Holy Family, you've painted Santa Claus, Christmas trees, like you've painted all of these iconic and kind of holiday specific subjects, but in your style, and you've stayed very true to that.
Yes.
And that encourages repeat customers because they
Yeah.
want the next thing.
No, I am grateful for those collectors that
Mhm.
appreciate it. I also find it like easier to like create a collection when you're like, okay, this is the style I'm sticking to. These are this collection I'm working on now. I'm like limiting it to like 4 colors. And
Mhm.
like, so the whole collection matches, that the style is exactly the same. And that way as well, like people can collect multiple pieces from the same collection, hang it in the same room, and it looks great together.
Yeah,
Um,
I love
so
that.
yeah, thank
Oh,
you.
I just had an idea. We'll brainstorm in a little bit. I just had an idea for your next collection. Because I know what it's like when you're like
I
trying
know.
to rack your brain. Sometimes inspiration just hits you out of nowhere and you're like, I have to
Yes.
paint this. I'm losing sleep. I can't stop thinking about it. And then sometimes you're like, okay, I've got, it's August and Christmas is coming up. Oh my gosh, what have I like, you really need to hunt for inspiration.
Yes.
That's always been the hang up for me for original collections is I find it so much easier to be inspired by what other people want me to paint, which is, that comes
Yeah.
by way of commissions. Then sometimes I'm like, sometimes I want to paint, like I'm inspired to paint something. And sometimes if I have time in front of me and I want to be efficient and profitable, then it's like, okay, I'd rather do
Yeah.
commissions. Do you still take commissions?
Yeah, I do. I don't take a ton. I don't
Mm-hmm.
advertise it. And depending on what they're looking for,
Mm.
I will either like accept or say like it's just not the time,
Yeah.
because I want to make sure. I've definitely done commissions where I don't want to work on it, like it's just not my cup of
Mm-hmm.
tea.
Ooh,
And
what's an example of one that you don't like doing?
this is so horrible. I don't love doing pet portraits. I really, so I made that like rule a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I have let some things, I have let some people in on the pet, me doing their pet. But yeah, things like that, or like if someone has like a very, like if someone wants to control every portion of this painting, I find that so draining,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not a good match. And so over the years, I've learned to say no. At the
Yeah.
beginning, you bet I was saying hell yeah to like every single commission request I got.
Yeah.
And and that was great at the time. I kind of learned a lot from those because it was a lot of different subject matter. I learned what I don't like and what I like.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, now that I'm at this point in my career where I'm creating collections that are selling, I can now say no to commissions.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I still do commissions. I try to group them together so that it's kind of like a nice little break for my creative side. I don't need to
Mm-hmm.
come up with not content, but I don't need to come up with inspiration.
You almost
For
don't
like
have to think. It's just, okay,
right,
just create.
create.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I recently did a commission of this beautiful villa in Italy that this
Mm.
couple got married at. And it was like all I had to do was create this painting, this photo again. Of course, I manipulated the photos and moved things around, but it was a nice little creative break. And I feel like that's necessary sometimes because if you just
Yeah.
keep having to draw from your own well over and over again, it's just yeah, it's a lot.
It's
It's
exhausting. Yeah.
exhausting.
It
And like you
is.
start to like not like, I don't know, like if I just keep dipping into what I want to paint,
Mhm.
I sometimes I create artwork that I don't like and I feel like I have to because it's like, like that's what pays the bills, right? So it's
Yeah.
nice every once in a while to like have something like a steady stream, like commissions 3 in a row or 5
Mhm.
in a row where I can just let my inner peace settle down and breathe for a minute and then get back into something else like inspiration wise and give myself a break in a way.
It's so good to hear that because as someone who primarily does commissions, I'd sometimes kind of sit in envy because I get tired of painting other people's faces sometimes. And I'm like, I wish I could just paint what I want to paint. But there is that season that pendulum swings both ways. So you
Mm-hmm.
can become kind of exhausted and drained with the process of creating originally inspired work. And
Yes.
because you feel like I have to create something, we've had this conversation before. You've created a style, you've created a niche, you've kind of solidified yourself in this culture, in this city. And when you're faced with a decision about what comes next, you're like, well, what am I inspired to paint? But how does that overlap with what people want to buy from me?
Yep.
So there's a lot of pressure that comes with that.
Yeah, there really is. It's a hard balance.
Mm-hmm.
And I create a lot of pieces that like I I accidentally create because I not because I want to, but because I know it will do well with
Mm-hmm.
my collectors, and like the heart's not in it. And then I kind of just want to throw it away. I've like
Mm-hmm.
taken some of my paintings out and like created a bonfire with them.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just
Yeah.
like you need to be able to create bad work sometimes, and be okay with it and just not sell it. But it's tough to do collections as well. I mean, commission work is tough. They're both tough in different ways. So I do find it nice to kind of have breaks every once in a while, mix it up between the two.
You may have heard me talk about my little side business, my little fine art print shop. I create an original painting, I take a photo of it, and I print it, and I print it again and again and again. I make hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars a year on prints. It's so easy. And I learned everything I know about creating my own prints and printing them in house from Laurie Ann Gonzalez and her Art to Print course. I highly recommend, if you are an artist and you want to make easy money from your original works and even the commission works, you can resell those as prints. I recommend you check out Art to Print. Laurie Ann has a very direct way of teaching, and you are really going to appreciate her no fluff method of giving you information and telling you exactly what you need to do to make making fine art prints in your own studio a breeze. You can check her out online at learn.laurieannart.com. That's learn at LaurieAnnEart.com, or just click the link in the show notes for my affiliate link. Check her out and thank me later. Do you ever decide to, with consideration to like income
Hmm.
pops and,
Yeah, of
feast and
course.
famine a little bit, because there's an element of feast and famine to every business, right? Depending on the time of year and the economy as it comes and whatever. Do you ever feel like there's a lull in income because you have now a property that you have to
Yeah.
maintain and pay for? You have a team that you have to pay their salaries. There's a lot more overhead. There's a lot more
Hmm.
pressure
Yeah.
on you to provide. And so um, do you ever choose to balance your commissions with the peaks and valleys that come with
Yes,
selling commission originals? Okay. Talk
of
about that.
course. Yeah. So, November, December are huge months for us. We have so basically during those months I don't take commissions. I don't start or finish commissions at all. I'm focusing solely on um, just my work. And then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, in slower seasons like January, February, typically do a few commissions, and then in the summer I'll do a few commissions because those are typically our slower times.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, then the rest of the year, I really focus on creating and selling collections, because April is a really great month for whatever reason. So yeah, I do focus on that, and there are times like just something else to kind of think about, like where I'm not doing either, and like maternity leave, for instance, and
Yeah.
that I have to make sure I have something lined up to not only like post, because I'm not creating anything new, right? So I have to have something lined up to post, to maybe like a new launch of some sort. Whether like it doesn't have to be artwork. I've launched last maternity leave. I did a nursery themed like gift item release. And so, I had something to post about. My team had something to work on.
Mm-hmm.
We had income coming in through that. So I do strategically try to have something at least every month, whether it be an original collection release, a new gift item release, uh, like finishing a commissioned painting or
Mm-hmm.
five. And
Yeah.
that way it's all kind of balanced. And then I also offer prints and
Yeah.
canvas prints and all of those things throughout the year. So like
Yeah.
that's kind of my bread and butter, where
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting it's not consistent, but I'm getting income from those streams. And then anything extra is like a little pop, like you're saying. And so I try to have a little pop every month.
Yeah. You gotta pay the bills. It's
Right.
very considerate, and I like that you plan like the year in advance, and you consider the the peaks and valleys of income and popularity, seasons of popularity,
Yeah.
and then there's that consistent. The collections have to be planned and like executed. That takes a lot of time, but then the consistent stuff, the prints, the products, things like that. And I love the products. I'm so glad in your gallery you have always shown your work, as opposed to being a gallery that hosts other artists, and you're just kind of running the building and
Yeah.
showing other people's work. It's all your work. It's your gallery, your work, and you've put your images, your paintings on products like blankets and print cups and like all kind of really cool things and easy to buy things,
Hmm.
which has kind of reached your audience on a more day-to-day level, as opposed to like investing in a single piece of art for their home.
Yes.
So that's been really smart.
I heard a quote
Yeah.
once. And I was like, okay, that actually really aligns with me and my business. And it was like a random visitor on Magazine Street may not be looking, I'm just going to phrase it the way to apply to me. They may not be looking to buy an original painting on a random Monday afternoon, but they may be looking to buy some greeting cards. And so
Yeah.
I need to have something in my, like, I like having a lot of very accessible items, like $20 and under even. People
Mm-hmm.
could just pop in, grab that. But then it's like also while they're there, they're taking a look at the new collection. Maybe they're taking a photo, sending it to their friend,
Yeah.
and it creates like I might not be making a ton of profit from that, greeting card, but
Mm-hmm.
them coming to the gallery and keeping top of mind with them, I think is
Mm-hmm.
important. Like how Costco sells rotisserie chicken and they
Yep.
don't make any money on it. They create it. They make $0. They create it
Mm-hmm.
because they know people will come in and buy it. But then
Mm-hmm.
while they're there, they might buy something else.
Yeah.
Um,
Hi, I'm people.
right.
I go get in line for that rotisserie
Yeah,
chicken, and then I spend $200 on things I don't need.
exactly. Well, hopefully people are buying, like if they're buying something else, they need
Hmm.
it. But
Yeah.
yes, I definitely tried to create an array of things. And I think
Hmm.
that also helps like spread the word about my work. Like for instance, I sell baby swaddles. And people have given that gift out. It's like under $50. People get that gift, for baby showers. And then they're opening it up, talking about it, and then I'll get like 5 follow requests from, posts that someone shares. And it's just
Yeah.
like, spreading the word. And I really enjoy that work as well. I think that's like, it might not be like, I think I probably like 10% of my, maybe even less income comes from my gift items.
Yeah.
But that's where my passion lies. Like I really enjoy it. And like,
Yeah.
I don't care if we're not, I don't know. It's just, it makes me happy. It makes other people happy. I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah. I love that. You have a really fun shopping experience when people go into your gallery. If you have an open house, for example, you recently opened your new building and then you released a collection of work like during or at the open house. It was so much fun. And so I
Yay.
went to see the new stuff and to see the building and to support you. And there was a really fun party. But there's like the I don't want to, how do I describe this? I guess target of
Mhm.
people, or like an
Mhm.
umbrella of people, and a very small percent, or no,
Yeah.
pyramid visual,
There we go.
Stephanie. The very top of the
Yes.
pyramid, that is a small percentage of your audience, but they're going to spend the most money on the original work.
Yes.
And then the next tier down is people who
Yes.
will invest a couple $100s, couple $1,000 in reworked prints, or like that price bracket. And then you've got people who will get the paper prints and get them framed. And then there are people that want something of yours so bad that they will buy a little tiny canvas print or the greeting card, and then there's
Yeah.
people, and so you want to serve all of those people because they want
Yes.
to support you and they want a piece of that, but it's
Yes.
what they can afford and it's where they're at and what they need. And like gift, I'll go into your gallery and buy gifts for all of my sisters for their birthday this year, and just like thinking ahead of like get some people are, I'm not quite that on it in terms of like gift giving. I'm usually like on my way to dinner and stopping at the
Right.
gallery picking up a
Same.
gift. Oh, but some people are like on it, and they'll get a box of the gift cards and a print for so and so's birthday coming up, and then a gift for that baby shower in 3 months that they know about, like that kind of thing. So I
Hmm.
just love you've created a shopping experience in addition to the fine art gallery. It's beautiful.
Yay. I love
So
the way you put that. Thank you.
let's talk. Oh yeah, well, I know what I'm talking about because it's how I feel. Like this. I mean, really, I recognize this success, like a big picture success. I've seen you. We've been friends for years. I've seen you grow from selling online and kind of developing your style, but painting all kind of subject matters and painting whatever would sell, kind of thing, like that
Yeah.
mentality. And then you had the open house, and you kind of like grassroots got to know what people really want. And then you've
Hmm.
just taken that data and kind of developed and developed it. And there's so much technical development that happens in what we do as artists, and how we, start to say no to some things and start to
Yeah.
ramp up certain popular things
Yeah.
and make space for what has to come at different times a year and prepare for that. You've grown so much as a person and a business owner. I'm very proud of you. And I want to show you and your story to listeners who are on their journey as artists,
Yeah.
who are at different points in your journey. Like maybe you're 2 years in and you're like me, painting custom work, but it's all over the place. And so if you were to
Hmm.
create a portfolio, you would
Yeah.
see no consistency. I did
Right.
early in the podcast. I had created an episode talking about consistency and what that looks like and feels like, and how it's a common struggle if you're early in your business and you don't see consistency in your work, and
Yeah.
how that you want to see consistency because you see it in people who've been in business for longer, 10 years or more, whatever. And so I see how well you've developed consistency, and it's just a good lesson.
It takes time. And it
Mm-hmm.
takes a lot of experimenting and figuring out what you really enjoy painting.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, that's the most important thing. You have to love it if you
Yeah.
are going to succeed, because it's a lot of work. It's constant.
What do you
Uh,
love to paint the most?
really, anything new. And that's why I have such an array of subjects. I probably have like 200 print offerings. It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I do think that at the beginning, I was the same way. I didn't have a ton of consistency. It wasn't very refined. And it just took a lot of experimenting, trying different mediums, really like carving out that time. Like I remember, year 2, 3, when I was trying to figure this out, I had like my workload with commissions was so time consuming. I didn't have time to
Mm-hmm.
like really establish my style.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to take that time.
Yeah.
It's scary. Like that's like I basically figured that out when I jumped into being full time. So it was a very scary moment. But I
Mm-hmm.
knew in the end, like I would create good work along the way, trying to figure out my style, and I sold it. So like I wouldn't invest 3 weeks into one painting experimenting. I would invest one day into
Mm-hmm.
a painting experimenting. And if it didn't come out, okay, a waste of a day. But the next day, try again, and then you'll create stuff that you can sell, even if it's not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I at the end, I don't know about you. You're really talented. So like at the end of your painting, I feel like there's nothing that you could possibly change to make it any better. But
Oh
at
my
the
God.
end of every single painting I create to this day, I'm like, I want to go back and start this painting again because I know I could make it better.
Mm-hmm.
But that's artists. Like we are ever evolving, and we need to be okay with this may not be perfect for me, but this is perfect for someone.
Yeah.
And yeah, and just you have to create a living with it. And
Yeah. And what's really motivating? Selling a painting.
yeah,
Like at the beginning, it's okay. It's okay. You can almost live with the feeling of my work is inconsistent because you sold a $75 painting here and a $200 painting here, and somebody commissioned a painting for their, a pet portrait that you don't like doing, but somebody is like, here, I'll give you money if you just paint this for me. And so you're
Yeah.
just like, you're distracted and you're able to just take it one day at a time, one job at a time, one experiment at a time. And then before you
Yeah.
know it, a year has passed and you've grown your portfolio and you've made a little bit of money and decided what you like more and what you don't
Yeah.
like, just a little bit more. And then enjoy the journey. Like, enjoy the journey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was the most, probably looking back, the most fun part is just trying different things out, and not taking it so seriously, but also at the same time working hard. Like, you have to
Yeah.
put in the time. You can't if you really want to make it as a full-time artist, you have
Mhm.
to be so committed and work your butt off to paint something. I mean, because like we are in charge of our own schedules. It's easy to be like, oh, I'll get to that later after I do these things around the house or whatever. Like, you have to be committed like a full-time job. Like, I start
Yeah.
and end my day with, an appropriate amount of time, like an 8-hour day or whatever it is.
Right.
And I focus in. Like, I work from home, and like, yes, there's laundry to do, there's cooking to be done, but I'm at my job now. I cannot
Mhm.
even think about it. I close the door and I focus in on painting.
Yeah. Ooh, so working from home, what is something that you do? That's something I struggle with. I'll preface.
Hmm.
That is one of my biggest struggles, is being in this room working, knowing that I have laundry to be done, or, I know that I need to cook dinner and I need to defrost that chicken. And so I need to get
Yeah.
up now and go take the chicken out. But when I'm there, I'll see the dishes. And it's
Hmm.
so challenging to work from home. Do you have any tips? Do you just never leave this room? What if you have to pee? Like, how do you do it?
I
Help
know.
me.
And I'm the same way, to where like I'll go out and like make myself lunch, and I'll see like these random things I need to do. And then it takes you on like this little journey where like now you're 30 minutes in and cleaning up the playroom. And you're like, wait, no, 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 no. You just have to tell yourself no. You have to make it clear to your husband, just because you're home, or your partner, or whatever it is, just because like
Mhm.
you're home doesn't mean that you can just do the dishes throughout the day.
Mhm.
I literally I just fuss at myself. I'm like, no, 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 back to work. I'm a
Yeah.
really tough boss to myself.
Can you be my boss? That is a challenge for me, and I know for a lot of people, but that's good advice. Just fuss myself. I'll try that. I'll try that. I really need to
Try to
put my
think.
phone
Or
out of the
like,
room.
yes, like the sleep mode
Mm.
on the phone. I don't have
Mhm.
any notifications on my phone other than text and calls.
Mhm.
So I don't have that interruption. And then when I'm really focusing, I'll do the sleep mode, so I don't even see texts or calls.
Mhm.
I'll sometimes put like a really engaging podcast on. And
Mhm.
so I don't get distracted, and like sit down for a second and scroll on Instagram. Like, I'll just stay focused in on the painting. And of course, like my artwork, unfortunately, I have to, like, once I create my palette and I spend like an hour mixing my paints, I
Mhm.
have to like create for like eight
It'll
hours.
dry. Won't
It'll
it dry?
dry. And like the
Yeah.
painting itself, the canvas will dry, and then I won't be able to like fix it. And so like I have to be dedicated for that time. So maybe that helps
Mhm.
out as well. Because
Yeah.
if I don't dedicate myself to the piece, then it'll be ruined.
Yeah, when it comes to painting, I feel like if I pour a palette, I'm not wasting that paint. We gotta
That's some
move
nice
while it's
paint.
wet. Yeah, that's
Right.
expensive paint.
Right.
Oh,
And every
man.
once in a while, like my daughter will wake up from a nap, like unexpectedly, like 30 minutes into her
Mhm.
nap, when it should be 3 hours. And I have this whole palette of wet
Oh,
paint. I'm like, oh,
gosh.
no, no, we're not putting this to waste. So you bet I'm going to try to make this work. I'll like get out all of her colors into our studio, and she'll just color for five. I mean, she's 20 months, 19 months. So she'll like color for 5 minutes. There's no attention span. I'll open
Mhm.
up the door so she can like wander outside, wander back inside. Like, we will try to make something work. I'll try line up some activities,
Yeah.
even hold her while I'm painting, because I will not let that paint go to waste, or that painting itself. So
Are you still using cheap art supplies? Look, you don't have to tell me, but if you want to level up, you have to use better supplies. Come on, let's invest a little. I've been using Rosemary and Company for my paintbrushes for the past 5 years or so, and I have never thrown away one of these brushes. The quality is unmatched, and they're like reasonably priced. I hate to say it, but they're the best. So I love a long handled paintbrush. Okay. I love a hog hair or an ivory, which is kind of a mixed bristle hair. And Rosemary and Company, they have like so many options. So I would check them out. The website is www.rosemaryandco.com. That's Rosemary spelled Rosemary and co.com. Or you can just click the link in my show notes and it'll take you directly to my personal wish list. It's all the brushes that I use and recommend. So check them out and thank me later. Ooh, okay. I would love to talk about your daughter and being a mother, but I do want to, before I lose track, because we can talk for hours, I know, and we only have an hour today. So can we kind of shift gears and talk about running a gallery, running a team? What is your, when did you bring on your first team member? And what does your team look like today?
Okay.
And
so 2019.
What's that story?
Yeah. 2019, I hired my first team member to help me run the gallery. That's when we first opened up. So she was working like 5 days a week and I was working there. Well, no, she was probably working there like 4 days a week and I was working there 2 days a week because we weren't open every day. And so I was like trying to do both. That was way too much to handle. I was working like, I don't know, 15-hour days. And so I was like, I need to add someone else to this team. I need it, like my time needs to be dedicated to painting because that's what brings in the income, really. Like that's what keeps it all going. So I need to paint. I need to hire this team. So it slowly grew from one team member to now we have 5 people that work in the gallery, one person that is contract. So I don't have 5 people working in the gallery every day. That would be insane. Like that would be amazing. That means that we're doing really well. But I do have at least 1 to 2 people working in the gallery every day of the week. And I have a team of 5 and they all have their unique strengths and they have all added something very wonderful to the gallery. I have one team member that's working on wholesale, one that is like organizing wizard. She keeps us on top of everything. I've brought on also like a social media person. I brought on an array of people to strengthen us. And also take on the daily load of the gallery so that I can focus on painting. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. There's still so much that I have to do inside of the gallery as well. Like I have to kind of keep it all chugging along, keep things like every day, check in and figure out what the game plan is. But they are the heart of the gallery now. They take so much, what's the word? They take a lot of pride in it. It has become their own. And like that was my hardest thing to find as employees, as a team member, is someone that not only does the job, but also cares so much about my work and cares like where it goes, And so I'm really happy with where we're at currently. But yeah, it was slowly, I slowly added on a second member, and then we needed more help on the weekends. And then I realized that we needed like graphic design help. So I have a graphic designer that's a contractor. And she helps me with, oh my gosh, so many things. Gift item.
All the visuals. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Gift item, designing and things that I love doing, but are not my strongest thing. Like my strength lies in painting. I need to focus on that. And then, even if I could do the project, I need to make sure I assign out as much as humanly possible, because if not, I'll be back to working 15 hours a day every day.
Easily. Yeah.
And I can't do that, especially now that, burnout, children, maintaining a partner, a house, everything. I had to be okay with delegating and trusting my work with someone else. It was hard at the beginning.
Trusting your business, like the reputation, the that day-to-day operations, the customer experience when they walk in the door, all of that you want. It's so hard to let go of that, to not have your finger on the pulse every day with every step, packaging every print, putting every sticker on.
I know.
That's so hard to let go. What would be, for an artist who doesn't have maybe an in-person space like a gallery, what would be your advice for an artist who is completely overwhelmed and burnt out in
Yeah.
terms of who to hire first or what to outsource first, that kind of
Well,
thing?
I guess it just depends on it depends on their business model
Mhm.
and what is really draining them. If it's emails,
Mhm.
hire a VA. If it's social media, hire a marketer. If it's processing prints, I remember I would spend like an entire day at my house. This is before the gallery opened, just like packaging paintings and like processing like 2 prints. And it took me all day, and it was just frustrating that I like didn't really make money that day. Like I see it as in like, if I'm not painting, I'm not making money type of thing. I don't know. But yeah, really, whatever is challenging you at that time, like write down a list of everything you do every day,
Mm.
and circle the things that, make a column of things that you alone have to do and enjoy.
And make
Create
money.
like, right, and make money. Like do the
Yeah.
quadrants, like I'm sure you've talked
Mhm.
about that, like the four quadrants, and
Mhm.
then delegate that. Like you don't enjoy it, you are not proficient in it, delegate it. Because for instance, and like this goes outside of just your business. When I was just first starting out, you're broke. Your time, you don't have any time. My husband and I were like, he really wanted to get someone to help clean the house because we spent all
Mhm.
weekend cleaning the house, and it was
Yeah.
draining on our marriage. Like we just needed time together during that, and like just go out and have fun.
'Cause he
That's the whole
runs his
point.
own business too.
Yes,
So y'all
yes,
are
and
both
so
in it.
yes, I know. Well,
Mhm.
I don't recommend. But, you know,
I know. It's
you
nice
know.
to have somebody who you can just be like, "Oh, today was a day," and then be like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
hear
Yes.
you," you know,
And they
like,
understand.
and they
So I
get
do
it.
appreciate it. I do. It's
Yeah,
just draining when
but
you're
it's a
both.
lot.
But yeah, so that I looked at it and I was like, okay, we can hire someone to come every 2 weeks to clean the house. Totally not something I wanted to do, not something I was raised with. We
Mhm.
we we clean our own house,
Mhm.
And I looked at it and I was like, okay, we would pay someone $20 an hour. I don't remember exactly how much to clean the house. I can maybe make, back then I was like, I can maybe make like $35 an hour, and I enjoy it. So
Mhm.
like painting. So yes, I need to do this. Even if I'm only profiting $15
Yeah.
more during those 3 hours, it's worth it because
Mhm.
not only am I um, expanding my portfolio, like working at my skill, but I'm happy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's important to delegate as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
That is how I've been able to sustain this for 9 years and to grow. And like, yes, at the very beginning, they're not going to be as good as you are at it. It
Mhm.
takes time. Like I heard, if something takes you 1 hour to do, it takes someone else 5 hours to do. And, or I'm sure you've heard like, if they can do it, like, what is it? Like 60% of what you can do it, get rid of it. Like you assign that task,
Yeah.
even though it's not done to exact perfection of what you would do. You still assign it because it's better to be done than perfect, right?
Yeah.
And the
And then
things that
recognize too things that can be trained and things
mhm.
that can't.
Right. So
You know,
now I
go
should
ahead.
mention that now my team is so much better at all the things than I am. I'm so out of that. Like
Mhm.
I have lost my touch with it because it's been so long. But they have taken what I have taught them and saw the problems with it, from an outside perspective, and improved a lot of our systems because I trusted
Ugh,
them with it.
yeah. That's what I need. I need somebody to come in, and I do have a
Yeah.
VA and she's absolutely wonderful. And I've been able to trust her to handle certain flows of conversations and client experience. And God, that's just been wonderful.
Yeah.
It's in my house, in my studio. It's the physical. It's like I need somebody to come in here and organize
Yes.
me
Once a
like
week.
the physical, but I think my problem is it's this space. I've outgrown the space that I'm in, and I'm doing um 2 different types of operations, the physical creating art part in the same space as the tech stuff. And that has been
Yeah.
a
Wow.
challenge for me, but we'll talk about that over coffee another day, about like what
Yes.
needs to happen next. But
Yes. You have
yeah, no, it's
options.
it's incredible whenever you're able to let go of control over something, something that you don't need to have your hands on, like packaging. I trained somebody how to package paintings and prints, and that is not something I do not need to be taping boxes and putting wires on the backs of canvases.
Yes.
That's not my sweet spot. That's not what I need to have my hands on. That's such good advice.
And like it, it sounds hard, like it sounds harsh almost saying it like that. Like it's not that we're above those things at
Oh,
all.
no. Mm-mm.
It's just that it's better for your business and for everyone in your business for you to be painting. Because the more paintings you're creating, the more income, the more collectors, and then you can maybe give them promotions or hire them on for more days. And so they want you to succeed in that portion of your business
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Yeah, because you're supporting them, you're providing for them, giving these people a livelihood and something to be a part of,
Yeah, a
something that is
creative,
growing.
yes,
Mhm.
creative job, which is such a blessing. I mean, like it's just a happy place to be working. There's not, luckily, like there's no art emergencies. There's nothing super stressful. Like, yes, as a business owner, it's super stressful. But like, as your team members, I hope that there's not like a lot of anxiety around something. Like that you're
Yeah,
giving people hopefully a good, happy, fulfilling place to work.
yeah, and I believe that you are. Real quick, I know we have a few minutes left, very few minutes. How has it been? How has the adjustment been going from, working and building this business and being an artist and a
Yeah,
creator 100% of the time to now being a mother 100% of the
yeah,
time and a creator whenever you can?
yeah. It was hard. I will preface this saying that like, if anyone's listening that like doesn't have kids, I remember thinking like before I was even trying to have children, like, is that the route for me? Like, because like at the time I was so invested in my career, I felt
Mhm.
like having children was almost like giving up my career and I was afraid of it. And so I want
Mhm.
to preface this by saying, um, I I was afraid to like have children. And it's the greatest thing that's ever happened in my life. So I just want to like reassure someone if they're like, oh my gosh, like, should I? Like, this is too much. Like,
Yeah.
absolutely, you will figure it out. There's going to be challenges, but it's so beautiful. So I just wanted to start with that to not scare people. Because you hear like all like, that you typically hear some of the scary things. But anyway, um, now, so prior to having my daughter to now, that I have definitely changed my workload. I used to work all day, and then, at the end of the day, I would just be watching TV. Like, of course, I would just, paddle paddle on my website, answer
Mhm.
emails. So I was basically working all day, but it was like, at night, it didn't feel like I, I was definitely a workaholic, but
Mhm.
but I was okay with it because I'm like, what else am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Um, but now, like leading up to having a child, I realized like, oh, I need to change my lifestyle like
Mhm.
quickly. Like, how am I gonna take all this like work that I do throughout the day and condense it down to like either zero time because that
Yeah.
happens, or just 6 hours, And so that was a real challenge for me. And getting like maternity leave lined up was very challenging because it's not like I could just shut down communication and take 3 months off like a normal job would be. Like I have a team that is still working, every day of the week. So I had to have things lined up for them,
Mhm.
make sure that income's still coming in. So like I had to do 3 months of work prior basically and let's
Yes.
squeeze that in. So yeah, like that last trimester, I was just like really working hard. Okay, so now um, that I was able to take 3 months off, of course, communicating basically every other day. So it wasn't like a traditional maternity leave, but you do have perks of being an entrepreneur, which has been very handy lately because if Camille, my daughter, is sick, I don't have to go into work. I can stay home with her. I can
Mhm.
work during nap times. But yeah, like I've basically have taken. 50, like I probably cut in half the amount of working time. Gosh, probably even less than that. I probably have a third of the amount of
Mm-hmm.
time I had before, but you make it work. You become so productive in that time. As a mother, you're like, I could take on anything now. I'm like answering emails while doing something, I'll answer emails like sometimes with my daughter. You learn to balance it. You learn to multitask, but yeah, it was a hard transition. There's things that like, for instance, to like kind of cope with the amount of things to do throughout the day, I come up with like little strategic things. Like, for instance, I save all of my laundry, all of my daughter's laundry, things like that for days that I have. Well, okay, I'm kind of going all over the place. My daughter, she stays with her grandparents, like my husband's mom and my mom, 2 days a week each. So I basically have like 4 days covered throughout the
Mm-hmm.
week. But every once in a while, one of them will go out of town, someone will be sick. And so I save all of my laundry for days where I just happen to have Camille like last second. And
Yes.
I'm like, okay, that's fine. No problem. That'll be my housework day. And she'll help me do laundry. Um, I try to incorporate her into all of my like householdy things. Like if we're cooking,
Yes.
she's helping me.
Yes.
Um, and and that way, if I do have to be with her for a full day and like I had planned on painting or getting something very important that day, I still have the nap time, which is great. Um, I just always find like I write down tasks throughout the month that I'm like, okay, this is a good task to do with Camille.
Yeah.
So like, I'll take her to the galleries, to my gallery, whenever I have her, just because like I'm able to be at the gallery with her better than I like, and get stuff done better than I am focusing on a painting with her. That's very
Yes.
hard.
Yes. Same thing. I will, um, if it's a weekend, I will save emails for
Yes.
when I'm sitting in a chair waiting for my 4 and 5-year-old to fall asleep, because, if I'm not laying with them, sometimes they're like, "Can you just sit in the
Yeah.
chair?" And so I'll sit in the chair and I'll answer emails. I can't answer
Yeah.
emails when I'm driving. I can't answer emails when I'm painting, and I can't answer emails when I'm cooking dinner or, like with them and they're active. When could I
Mm-hmm.
answer emails? When they're taking a bath? When,
Right.
like,
Yes.
how can I squeeze in this one task, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, same. That's really good advice. Like,
And like, I'll just like dictate it too.
mhm,
Like I use, basically it's like my unfocused work. And I'll
mhm,
just like dictate my email that I'm going to send. And then I'll just copy paste it sometimes into ChatGPT and be like,
mhm,
improve this email, because I know there's going to be errors from dictation and,
mhm.
grammatical errors, because I'm bathing a child or whatever, balancing a couple of
Sure.
things. And then I copy and paste that back. I mean, of course I read it, but it's
Mhm.
like, it does not, like, you do not need to have your focused energy on those things. Your focused energy needs to be on painting.
Yeah. No, same. And that's it's the struggle, man. And it's kind of always been the struggle, but now you've got a more important priority than like before
Yeah.
you had kids. So
Yes.
you want to be there and
Right.
but you
That's
want
like,
to be an artist and you want to have time to create and you want to enjoy the process of creating, because,
mm-hmm.
God, there's nothing worse than getting through a painting and then being unhappy with it. And,
Yeah.
cause you want to start it over.
Right. And, being entrepreneurs, like I will just touch on this, like it's a constant, right? You
Mm-hmm.
you have Instagram, you have a team, maybe like I have every day I have to breathe for my business. I need to do stuff for my business. But I need to prioritize what's important to me, and that's my
Mm-hmm.
daughter. And so
Mm-hmm.
on the weekends, you betcha, I shut down Instagram. I
Yeah.
don't look at my Telegram, which is where we communicate with my team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's not going to be an art emergency. I'm going to spend this dedicated time with my daughter enjoying life, because that's
I
why I'm
love
doing
it.
this. So that's why I have this flexible career. And, I mean, if you don't, you need to soak up all of the benefits of owning your own business, or else you are going to like burn out, because I've been there.
Mhm. What do
You
you do
can't
when you
just
burn
let it
out?
control.
Like, what is the first thing you do to rest and get out of that?
Yeah, I get away from it. I need to get away from it, because like there's been times where I've burnt out so badly. I don't know if you've ever experienced this. This is so bad, but we're like literally seeing my work made me nauseous.
I've made myself sick from being burnt
Yes,
out. Yeah.
right. It's ridiculous that we get there. I guess it's because we care so much that it's so easy to slip into like that
You just forget,
overworked.
you forget the boundaries. You forget to set
Yes.
or stick to personal boundaries,
Yes. It's
just
tough.
mental health stuff, man. Well, good. I'm glad I'm
But
not alone.
yes,
I'm
no,
glad
you're
you're not in
definitely
it right
not.
now.
No, I'm in a good spot. I've
hmm
learned, along the way. But yeah, like I need to take a break. I need to get away from my work. Even if it's just like taking a week off to like, and like, let's say I still have to have income, like I still need to keep my business going. I will
hmm
shut my studio down. I'll like clean it up. I'll get it into a beautiful state.
hmm
I'll close the door for a week, work on the millions of other things that you have to do admin wise, updating
hmm
website, things like that. Things that don't require my creative self. And then once I feel recovered, I go back into the beautiful, now beautiful studio that I cleaned up, and it's just like waiting
Yes.
for me with a canvas on the easel ready to roll, and I'll create something that I really want to do.
hmm
Um and I don't give it a lot of if it turns out like crap, like it's fine. You just throw it
Yeah.
away, or
No
I
pressure.
don't put a lot of pressure on it, because yeah, that's tough too. Sometimes I'll like create something that's for like me during that time. Like I'll like typically I had paint, like in the past I've painted something for my daughter during that time. That way,
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter what it comes out as.
hmm
Um, but yeah, just getting away, getting some inspiration, maybe like if you have the ability to go on a little weekend trip just to break things up, become yourself again, cut off all Instagram, all of that. Or just going like on a simple walk in the park and sitting down and like just breathing and just being for a minute, meditating. I don't know. Sometimes it's so
hmm
hard to just be.
hmm
And I think that's really important for your sanity.
Yeah.
Working on
We
that.
should do it. We should do that. Like I should walk more. I know people that go out for a walk every day, and it's hard to pull yourself away from having
Yes.
to be productive. Like I feel like that's
Right.
something that Americans kind of do, this kind of hustle productivity hamster wheel, and that Europeans tend to
Yes.
they indulge more in rest and life and um meals. The meals are longer. I don't know. That's just
Yes.
we
No,
we
that's
could
so true.
we need to take a page out of their book.
Hiatus.
Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me today.
Yes, I had so much
I
fun.
would love for maybe we're gonna have to do a part 2 and dive deeper. But where can
Yes, we could definitely
people
keep going.
I know we can. In fact, we'll probably carry on a voice text chain after this.
Right.
But I know you have to go and I want to let you go. So where can people follow you online and maybe shop your work and where
Yeah.
can they go to the gallery if they're in New Orleans?
Of course. So, my name is Casey Langteau Art. I don't know. Well, that's my Instagram name. Sorry. My
Mhm.
name is Casey. Casey. We never did that, did
Last
we?
name
Yeah.
Art.
Yeah. Yeah. It's become a part of my identity. So I changed my
Mrs.
name.
Casey.
Right.
That's so funny.
So my Instagram is Casey Langteau Art, and it's spelled Casey. Langteau is Langteau art, art.
Mhm.
But you can find me there, and you can find me. My website is the same thing, CaseyLangteauArt.com. And then I have a gallery in New Orleans. If you're ever in the area, you should definitely stop by. I may not be there though. It's 3649 Magazine Street. And yeah, it's where all of my artwork lives. It's like where everything has accumulated, and it's so joyful being in there. And it's like my happy spot. But yeah, I love to be in there. So if you do want to stop by, let me know, and I'll meet you there.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is a beautiful space. It's very inspiring in the heart of the city. Is it Uptown? Is that magazine
Yes.
is Uptown? Yeah, there's
Yeah, Uptown New
I'm not
Orleans.
from New Orleans originally. I'm from Baton Rouge, and so I'm still like, where's Uptown and downtown and all the
Mm-hmm.
different areas, but it is a beautiful area of New Orleans and her work is
Yes.
beautiful. Please follow Casey and thank you again Casey for coming and hang out with me today.
Oh,
I hope you have a great
thank you.
day.
Oh, thank you, Stephanie, for having me. I had so much fun chatting. I can't wait to do it again soon.
Yes, over coffee or
Yes.
breakfast.
Yes.
Let's do
Ooh,
that.
we could go take a walk and then go enjoy coffee in the park, We can make
Yeah.
this happen for us.
Let's play hooky from work one day and then get our mental
Oh,
health
yeah.
and our
Yes.
mindset right.
Exactly. You
Go
got
for
to
a
do
walk in the
it. You
park.
got to, or else.
We'll do that
All right.
together and then get a
I can't
massage.
wait. Yes.
But
Full day.
let's
A
keep
full spa
going.
day.
All right. Take care. Thanks,
Love
Casey.
you. Talk
Love
to
you.
you
Bye.
later.
Thank you for tuning in and joining us on this journey of artistic exploration, entrepreneurial growth, and personal development. Remember, you have the power to create a life that is both fulfilled and balanced. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please subscribe to The Composed Artist on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And don't forget to leave us a review. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more creatives like you. Until next time, keep creating, keep dreaming, and keep pursuing that composed life. You got this. I remember when you had Camille and you had Camille and I had Hazel 3 days apart. So we were pregnant at the same time and we found out very close together in a
So
beautiful way. And
exciting. It was
I'm so
amazing.
glad we did that together.
Such a
And
blessing.
then we had our babies and then we were in the postpartum,
Mm-hmm.
the throes of postpartum. And you said something to me and I thought it was just so relatable. And it was so funny. You were like, you approached a fork in the road. And what did you say? What were the two options?
So I was loving being a mom so much. But I also had this gallery, right? And so I reached this fork and I'm like, I am either going to shut down shop and just enjoy being a mom, or I'm going to go the completely other direction and open up, like, buy a gallery space and lean into it more. And so it was a very hard decision because I love spending all of my time with my daughter. But I realized at that point that if I continued at the gallery that I was at and just like continued renting a space that was not suitable for the production that we had, that I would have to spend a lot of my time in the day-to-day of the gallery. Like it was just, I was printing, like at the time, the old gallery space didn't have any storage at all. So I was doing all of my own, like printing myself. I was, just keeping the production going from my house too. And it wasn't manageable with a child. Like it was, but it took up all my time, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to enjoy that time with my daughter. So I was like, if I want to continue enjoying time with my daughter, maybe even having more kids, I was like, it's just going to keep getting harder and harder in my life to maintain this current gallery space. So, or I can make it really, really hard for like a few months and just add on more stress and purchase this gallery space. But then if that gallery space can take on the printing and the production, then I would then, free up all that time to spend with my family. And so that's that's the way I end up going, thank God. And like, that was the right move for me. I knew at the time, when you're postpartum, you're just like, but they're so precious and little for so long. You just want to be with them all the time. But, yeah, I mean, I don't think it would have been possible to quit painting. Like it's just, and like, I felt like at the time, like if I just closed the gallery down and just focused on original artwork, it wouldn't solve my problem because then I would still then I would have to like package all of my artwork myself. And, then I would have all that back onto me. And so like, it was just one or the other. Either I quit and that's that, or I figure out a plan that's sustainable, even if it's going to be hard for a bit.
Oh my gosh. Well, kudos to you for seeing the bigger picture, because in the moment I was like, quit, retire. I'll quit with you when you're like in it. Oh, that's just so funny. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.